Andrew's fist hung in the air as I looked up at him. There was no fear, only fatigue from 3 years of humiliation in this house. You must apologize for not offering his mother a piece of cake first. His voice trembled with rage, my face turned purple, the vein on my temple throbbed. I slowly rose from my chair. She straightened her shoulders and looked first at him, then at his mother Valentina Petrovna, who sat opposite with a satisfied smile of a winner. The cake, my cake, which I baked for 4 hours for my own birthday, stood between untouched by us. And then I started saying, "Valen Petrovna," my voice was calm, like the surface of a lake before a storm. My mother-in-law shuddered in surprise. Usually I silently endured all the attacks. 3 years ago you greeted me with words. I paused, and the room seemed filled with electricity. Andrew lowered his hand. His mother sat up straight in her chair. Her fingers pressed armrests. "That I am not worthy of your son." These were the first 5 words out of 20. And Valentina Petrovna froze, as if she had seen a ghost. Her eyes widened, cheeks turned pale. She remembered the day when Andrew first brought me to this home. I was 25 then. I had just defended my thesis with honors, got a job at a large company as a junior lawyer. Andrew was beaming pride, introducing me to my mother. "Mom, this is Marina. I've told you so much about her told." His voice rang with happiness. Valentina Petrovna looked at me with an appraising look from head to toe. She pursed her lips and said through gritted teeth, "Well, let's see what kind of bird you are." At that moment I didn't pay attention to the coldness of tone, challenging everything to the natural excitement of a mother for her son. But already through the week Andrei went on a business trip. Valentina Petrovna invited me for tea. Let's have a heart-to-heart talk, darling," she said on the phone in such a sweet voice that I didn't suspect a trick. I came with a bouquet of her favorite chrysanthemums. Andrei told me that she adores them. Valentina Petrovna opened the door, took flowers, and immediately put them in the hallway, without even bothering to find a vase. "Come into the kitchen," she called over her shoulder. There were 2 cups and teapot. No treats, no signs of hospitality. "Sit down." She pointed to the chair opposite. "I'll be straight. You're beautiful. Girl, I don't argue. But Andrew needs a wife from a good family with a position. And who are you?" "Father, an ordinary engineer at a factory. Mother, a schoolteacher. No connections, no social standing." I opened my mouth to protest, but she raised her hand. "No, interrupt your elders. I know people like you. Hunters for wealthy men. My son is the owner of a construction company. He has a bright future and I won't let him. Some upstart to ruin his life. But I love Andrew." I barely managed to squeeze out these words. Valentina Petrovna laughed coldly, contemptuously. "Love? What do you know about love at 25? Love is when a woman creates a man a house, gives birth to children, maintains his status in society. And what can you give him your career as a lawyer. Don't make me laugh. Andrew's wife should sit at home and take care of the family, and not run around the courts." I stood up, feeling my cheeks burning from humiliation. "Thank you for the tea, Valentina Petrovna. I have to go." She walked me out to the door with a triumphant smile. "Think about my words, girl. If you really love my son, you will leave yourself. Don't make me accept measures." That night I did not sleep. My mother-in-law's words burned my soul, but most of all it hurt that she didn't even try to get to know me as a person. To her, I was simply not a suitable match for her precious son. When Andrei returned from a business trip, I tried to talk to him about visiting his mother. "Don't pay attention," he waved it off. "Mom's just worried about me. She'll get used to you, you'll see." But Valentina Petrovna was not used to it. Each of our meetings turned into torture. She criticized my clothes. "Marina dear, this dress makes you look fat. Your hair, loose hair doesn't suit you. You look unkempt. My work, you're staying late at the office again. A normal woman is home by 6. My cooking. Andriusha, do you remember how I cooked this dish for you? That was delicious. Andrei is not noticed or pretended not to notice. Mom is just caring," he said. "She wishes us well." When we got married a year later, Valentina Petrovna came to wedding in a black dress. "I'm in mourning for the dreams of my son's happiness," she whispered. She told her friend loud enough for me to hear. It got worse after the wedding. Valentina Petrovna received the official status of mother-in-law and began to work at full capacity. She would come to our house unannounced, find me in my house clothes and click her tongue. "Marina, you don't live alone. How can you walk around in front of your husband like that?" She checked the fridge. "What kind of semi-finished products are these? My son needs home-cooked food." She rearranged things. "This vase should be here, not there. You have it all wrong. No taste." I tried to please. I bought products at the market, cooked according to her recipes, maintained perfect order. It was useless. She always found what to find fault with. The meat is overcooked. The floor is not clean enough. Andrew's shirt's badly ironed. One day I caught her in our bedroom. She was rummaging through my underwear. "I check how you keep an eye on things," she said without a trace of embarrassment. "By the way, why do you need this? Lace. Decent women don't need that." Andrew waved off my complaints. "Don't exaggerate. Mom just wants to help. She's been running the house for years and knows what's best." When I suggested setting boundaries, he got angry. "This is my mother. I will not allow you to quarrel between us." Gradually I realized, I will always be a stranger in this family. After 2 years I became pregnant. It would seem that the birth of a grandson should have softened Valentina Petrovna. "So, you eat too much," she commented on my every meal. "Then you won't be able to lose weight. Why do you need these vitamins? We gave birth to children without them. Working during pregnancy. This is selfishness. Think about the child." When Lisa was born, Valentina Petrovna showed up at the maternity hospital and the first thing she said was who she looked like. "I hope her character will not be like my mother." She criticized how I feed, how I swaddle, how I move. You'll spoil me," she screamed as I picked up my crying daughter. "Give her cry, toughen up." I protected my daughter like a lioness. It was the only front on which I did not retreat. "Valentina Petrovna, I am a mother, and I decide how to raise your child," I said firmly. She pursed her lips and complained to Andrew, "Your wife doesn't let me communicate with my granddaughter. I'm a grandmother, I have the right." And Andrew again took his mother's side. "Marina, don't be like that. Categorical. My mother raised me. She knows how to handle children." Our quarrels became more and more frequent, louder and louder. Lisa grew up in an atmosphere of constant tension. The culmination came on my 28th birthday. Today I decided to have a small celebration. I invited several friends. I spent the whole day at kitchen, preparing a treat. The cake is a special pride. 3-tiered with creamy roses with chocolate filling. I learned how to make these at confectionery courses, which she secretly attended on weekends. Valentina Petrovna showed up without invitations. As always, "Andriusha said it was your birthday. How could we do without me?" She glanced at the guests' table, at me in my new dress. "Something you got all dolled up. You're wasting Andrew's money." I swallowed my resentment and sat her down in the place of honor. The friends felt the tension and tried to smooth things over, but Valentina Petrovna was in good shape. "Marina didn't know how to cook at all when she came out marry," she said. "I taught her everything. True, her abilities are average. And this dresses. Marina, I told you, blue doesn't suit you. It makes your skin look grey." When I brought out the cake, the guests gasped in admiration. "Marina, this is a masterpiece." "Art," exclaimed my friend Olya. "You are a real pastry chef." I beamed with pride. I spent a whole week thinking about the design, spent 2 days making the roses, and got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to collect all the tiers. "Wait," Valentina Petrovna stopped me when I took knife. "Make a wish first." I closed my eyes, imagining myself living in the world and agreement without constant nagging and humiliation. She blew out the candles to the applause of the guests, and started cutting the cake. I put the first piece on Olya's plate. She was sitting closest of all. The second Kadia. She took the third one for herself. And then thunder struck. "Marina." Voice Valentina Petrovna cut through the festive hubbub. "What are you allowing yourself?" Everyone fell silent, looking at her. "How dare you not offer me the first piece? I eldest. I am the mother-in-law. This is disrespectful." Olya tried to diffuse the situation. "Valentina Petrovna, it's just a cake." The mother-in-law turned to her. "You are not, they ask. It's a family matter. Then back to me. You deliberately humiliate me in front of people. You show that I am nobody here. Mom, calm down. Andrew finally intervened. But not to protect me. Marina. Really, how could you? You had to be polite. I looked at him. I can't believe my ears. My birthday, my cake, my house. I have to keep some wild rituals of submission. Apologize to your mother, demanded Andrew. The guests awkwardly changed their names. Some began to say goodbye. Apologize immediately, he raised his voice. I was silent, looking at him. There was no love in his eyes, only irritation and a demand to submit. I said, apologize. He jumped up, knocking over the chair. The friends were horrified. Pressed against each other. You should apologize for not offering your mother a piece of cake first. He yelled and swung. And now we are back to square one. His fist is in air, my piece, 20 words of truth that I kept inside for 3 years. Valentina Petrovna, I repeated. 3 years ago you greeted me with the words, that I am unworthy of your son. She turned even paler. You said that I am a hunter for his money. 10 words. Valentina Petrovna trembled. Her hand shook slightly, like a teaspoon on a saucer. She remembered every word she had said. Conversation. You don't know that I paused, enjoying her fear. Andrew froze with his hand raised, not understanding what was happening. I wrote down that conversation. 15 words. Valentina Petrovna gasped and clutched her heart. Yes, I nodded. I have a record of all your insults. 3 years of humiliation every word. It was true. After that first tea party I bought a voice recorder. Small and easily visible. I always had it with me during Valentina Petrovna's visits. At first I wanted to show the recordings to Andrew, to prove that his mother was not a saint, but then I realized it was useless. He would still take a side. So I was just collecting evidence. For a rainy day, I'll give it to yours. To my friends. I finished. 20 words were said. Valentina Petrovna swayed. Her face turned from white to grey. She knew exactly what it meant. Everyone during these years she created the image of an ideal mother, a caring mother-in-law. In public she was the very picture of kindness. My daughter-in-law is gold, she said. Acquaintances. Marina and I are like friends. Her friends are from the Theatre Lovers Club, from Charity Fund, from a beauty salon. Everyone considered her a model. If they hear her actually talking to her daughter-in-law, as she called her me a beggar, a hunter, a mediocrity, as I advised my son to find a worthy replacement, her reputation will collapse overnight. You're bluffing, she croaked. I got it phone, found one of the recordings. Her voice filled the kitchen. This upstart thinks that can join our family. I'll wipe her out. Andriusha deserves it. Book, not this one. I turned off the recording. Valentina Petrovna collapsed into a chair. Marina. Andrew finally lowered his hand. What is this? Where is it from? He looked lost, confused. Mom's boy suddenly saw that Mom wasn't such a saint. This is your mother, Andrew, real? The one you refused to see for 3 years. But she was just worried about me. He was still trying to justify her. I shook my head. No. She was humiliating me, destroyed me morally. And you allowed it. Moreover, you forced me to endure and remain silent. The remaining guests, Olya and Katia, sat quietly, afraid to move. Valentina Petrovna raised her head. There was no longer any arrogance in her eyes, only the fear and anger of a cornered beast. What do you want? She whispered. I want to live in peace, I answered. Without your visits, advice, checks. You will no longer cross the threshold of my house without an invitation. You will not criticize my daughter, my work, my choice. And most importantly, apologize. Now in front of witnesses. Never. She tried to get up, but her legs didn't hold. I'm not Andriushka to you, Valentina Petrovna. Yours are with me. Manipulations don't work. Either apologize, or tomorrow your entire social circle will receive a selection of the highlights. She looked at her son. For support. But Andrei was silent, looking at her as if he was seeing her for the first time. Mom, he squeezed out. Is it true? You really said that about Marina? I wanted the best. She got mad. This girl has bewitched you. I saw right through her and then I broke through. All the poison she kept inside, spilled out. She's nobody. She crawled out of her hole, grabbed onto you. I warned you, she will ruin you, disgrace you. But you didn't listen, Mom. Andriy recoiled. How can you talk about your mother like that? My child. Valentina Petrovna laughed hysterically. Mothers. She doesn't know how to be a mother. If it weren't for me, the child would have died from her long ago. Nonsense. It was too much. I stood up, went to the door, opened it. Go away, Valentina Petrovna. Immediately, and don't come back until you're ready to apologize. She tried to get up, but her legs gave way. Andriy grabbed her arm. Marina, this is too much, he began. I turned to him. No, Andriy, this is too much to bear, humiliation 3 years. Too much is to remain silent when you are called nobody. Too much is allow your dignity to be trampled for the sake of peace in the family. Either you and your wife and daughter, or with Mom. Choose. He froze, torn between us. Valentina Petrovna grabbed his hand. Andriusha, my son, you won't leave your mother for her sake. This one. She stopped short under my gaze. For my wife's sake, I said firmly. Finish phrase correctly. I need to think, Andriy muttered. He helped his mother reach the door. On the threshold, Valentina Petrovna turned around. There was hatred in her eyes. You will regret this. I answered calmly. I only regret that I endured it for so long. The door closed. Olya and Katia exhaled. Marina, you were great, Olya admired. I couldn't do it like that. Hold on. Katia hugged me. You did the right thing. Stop letting yourself be humiliated. We returned to the kitchen. The cake stood untouched, only 3 pieces on plates. Let's celebrate anyway, Olya suggested. You deserve a normal birthday. But the festive mood had evaporated. We sat for a while longer, drank some tea, and my friends left, promising support. I was left alone in silence. Lisa slept in her room. It's a good thing she didn't see this scene. I cleared the table, threw away the untouched cake. It was no longer festive. Sat down in the living room and for the first time in 3 years allowed herself to cry. Tears flowed like a stream from resentment, fatigue, disappointments. I loved Andriy so much. I believed in our family so much. But a family is not only a husband, and a wife is also a relative who can either support or destroy. Valentina Petrovna chose the second. The phone rang around midnight. Andriy, I didn't pick up the phone. He called back a few more times, then started texting. Marina, let's talk. Mom went too far. Stick, but you too. We need to find a compromise. Compromise? For 3 years I went to compromises. And where did that leave me? I woke up this morning with a heavy head, but with a clear heart. I fed Lisa and took her to kindergarten. At work, colleagues noticed a change. Marina, you seem different today, said the boss. Decisive. I smiled and made an important decision. In the evening, Andriy came home. He looked unwell, rumpled, with red eyes. Marina, we need to talk. I nodded and poured him some tea. We sat opposite each other, just as his mother and I had once done. I've been up all night, I thought, he began. Mom, she really was wrong. I wanted to see this. She's my mother, you know? I'm used to her always right. I was silent, letting him speak out. But what I heard yesterday, Marina, forgive me. I was a blind idiot. You were a son, I gently corrected, a loving one. A son who didn't want to see his mother's shortcomings. But, Andriy, you also husband and father, and it is your duty to protect your wife and daughter, not to sacrifice the motherly selfishness. He lowered his head. What now? Do you want divorce? I wondered. Did I still love this man, weak, incapable confront my mother? I want a normal family, I replied. Where's my husband? Wife sighed. Where the toxic mother-in-law doesn't burst into the house. Where I am respected. I talked to my mother, he said. She is furious. He says that I am a traitor, that I chose another woman instead of my own mother. Chuckled. A strange woman is the mother of your child. Interesting logic. Marina, give me a chance. He took my hand. I will set the boundaries. Mom will come only by invitation. No criticism, no advice. If she won't be able to behave respectfully, I'll ask her to leave myself. I looked into his eyes, trying to understand if he is sincere. And if she will press, manipulate, pretend to have heart attacks? Andriy squeezed my hand tighter. I'll be on your side. I swear, a week passed. Valentina Petrovna was silent, and the silence was louder than any words. Andriy kept his word. He established clear rules. No surprise visits, no criticism. Respect for the wife's choice. I saw how hard it was for him to break with his mother, but he held on. On the 10th day she called, "Can I come see my granddaughter?" The voice was unusually quiet. I exchanged glances with Andriy. "Only if you behave respectfully," he replied. No comments about Marina, the house, or her upbringing. A pause. "Okay," she finally agreed. She arrived on Sunday. I prepared for battle, but Valentina Petrovna was strangely quiet. She played with Lisa, talked about the weather, and never criticized her. Leaving, she stopped at the door. "Marina," she began, not looking at me. "I thought about what you said." I waited. Maybe I was too categorical. It wasn't an apology, but it was a huge step for her. "I'm willing to start over," she finished. "If you give me a chance." I looked at Andriy. He nodded, leaving the decision to me. "Okay," I agreed. "But the rules remain." Respect is not a request, it is a demand. Months passed. Valentina Petrovna gradually learned to keep her mouth shut. Sometimes she would lose her temper and start criticize, but Andriy immediately stopped her. "Mom," we agreed. She pursed her lips but remained silent. The turning point came when I got sick. High temperature, cough, I couldn't find a place for myself. Valentina Petrovna arrived without calling, but not with criticism. "I brought herbs," she said. When Andriusha was little, only this helped. She didn't begin to indicate how to treat, simply offered help. We were together for 3 days, nursed Lisa. Valentina Petrovna turned out to be a caring grandmother when she was not trying to assert herself at someone else's expense. She told stories, sang lullabies, cooked chicken broth, and never said that I was doing anything incorrect. When Lisa got better, we were sitting in the kitchen drinking tea. "Thank you," she said. Valentina Petrovna looked up in surprise. "For your help. You were a real grandma." She looked away. A blush appeared on her cheeks. "I always wanted to be a good grandmother," she admitted quietly. "I just didn't know how." "You're too used to control," I said softly. "Andriy is your son. You decided for him. But I am not your daughter. I am an individual with my own opinion, experience, and right to make mistakes." She nodded. "It's hard to accept. I've been in charge my whole life. After my husband died. Especially. Andriusha was my world, but he grew up," I reminded him. "He has his own family, and you can be a part of this family, loved and respected, or you can fight for power and be left behind. The choice is yours." She was silent, looking into the cup. Marina finally looked up. "I apologize for everything. For those words 3 years ago, for humiliation, for trying to destroy your marriage. I was wrong." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I was just afraid of losing my son, and in the end I almost lost it because of my own stupidity." I handed her a napkin. "I accept your apologies. Let's start from the beginning. But remember, respect must be mutual." She nodded, wiping away her tears. "I'll try. I really will." A year has passed, my 29th birthday. Again cake, again guests, but the atmosphere is completely different. Valentina Petrovna came with a gift, a culinary book. "I noticed you like to bake," she said. "Maybe you'll find something interesting." When I started cutting the cake, I deliberately put the first piece on her plate. She looked at me in surprise. "You the eldest," I smiled. "It's a tribute." Her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered. The evening passed calmly. Valentina Petrovna even praised my new cream recipe. Andriy beamed. His family was finally united. Lisa ran between the guests, happy that her grandmother and mother no longer quarreled. Late in the evening, when the guests had left, the 3 of us, me, Andriy and Valentina Petrovna, they were sitting in the living room. "You know," said the mother-in-law, "I understood a lot this year. Strength is not in subjugating, but in supporting. She looked at me. You are a strong woman, Marina, stronger than me. You didn't break down, you didn't become embittered, and you managed to put me in my place, not humiliating. I just wanted respect, I replied, to myself, to my family, to your choice. Valentina Petrovna nodded. And you deserve it. I'm sorry it took me so long to realize this. Andrei hugged us both. I love you, he said. Both of you. And I'm happy that you found a common language. Valentina Petrovna stroked his head. You chose well, son. Marina, exactly the kind of wife you need. Strong, smart, principled. I felt the weight of years roll off my shoulders. Those 20 words, said a year ago, changed everything. They made Valentina Petrovna see themselves from the outside, forced Andrei to make a choice, forced me to believe in own forces. About the recording, Valentina Petrovna suddenly asked. Those same ones I smiled, deleted. 6 months ago, when you apologized. They are no longer needed. She breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you for your trust. At night, lying next to my husband, I thought about the path I had taken, about how important it is to be able to stand up for yourself. That respect is not begged for, it is demanded. That even the most difficult relationships can be fixed if all parties are willing to work on themselves. Marina, whispered Andrei in the dark, I'm proud of you. You saved our family. I turned to him. We all saved her. Even your mother. She found the strength to change. He kissed me, but you started it. Your 20 words of truth. 20 words that will do it all. Changed. Sometimes you don't need long speeches or loud scandals. Sometimes it's enough calmly tell the truth and have the courage to demand respect for yourself. I closed eyes, I feel peace. Tomorrow will be a new day, and in our house he will be peaceful. In the morning I was awakened by the smell of coffee. I went down to the kitchen. Valentina Petrovna is already there preparing breakfast. Good morning, she smiled. I thought you and Andrei deserved to sleep longer. There are pancakes and sour cream on the table, jam. Like in Andrei's childhood, he said. Thank you, I poured myself some coffee. We sat down opposite each other, like 4 years ago. But now there was nothing between us hostility. Only the understanding of two women who love the same man, each in their own way. I want to say something, Valentina Petrovna began. Yesterday I didn't dare in front of Andrei. She took a deep breath. My husband, Andrei's father. He was a despot, controlled my every move, decided what I should wear, who I should be friends with. I thought it was love, care. I listened silently. She never talked about the deceased. Father-in-law. When he died, I felt freedom and power for the first time. I could decide to control her life and her son's life. She smiled sadly, and didn't notice how she herself became what she was running from. A despot. This is a common history, I said softly. Victims become aggressors. She nodded. I understand it now. You opened my eyes, Marina, not only to my behavior, but also on its causes. You are a strong woman, Valentina Petrovna, I said sincerely. Not everyone is able to admit mistakes and change in your age. She laughed at my age. I'm only 57. We both laughed. You know, I signed up for a psychologist, she admitted. I want to work through my traumas, so as not to transfer them to loved ones. I was surprised. From Valentina Petrovna didn't expect this. This is a bold decision, I approved. You taught me courage. She covered my hand with hers. The courage to admit mistakes. Courage to change. Courage to ask for forgiveness. Her eyes sparkled with tears. Thank you, daughter. Daughter. She never called me that. I felt a lump rise in my throat. And thank you, I squeezed out for that. That gave me a chance to become stronger. Lisa ran into the kitchen. Grandma, Mom, and Dad where? Valentina Petrovna picked up her granddaughter in her arm. Dad is sleeping. Let's not will buzz it. Prepare a surprise. Lisa nodded happily. I watched them messing around with the dough together. Grandma teaching her granddaughter how to bake pies. No criticism, just patience and love. That's how smart she is, she praises Valentina Petrovna. You're doing great. Andrei came down an hour later, sleepy but happy. What's that smell? He saw the three of us at the stove, smiled. My favorite women. Hugged my mother, kissed me, threw me up daughter. A typical family morning. Happy. At breakfast, Valentina Petrovna talked about her plans. I want to go to a sanatorium, get some treatment, to relax. Marina, maybe you'd like to join us? Let's leave the men at home, let's have some fun. I exchanged glances with Andrei. He nodded. Why not? I agreed. Excellent. She rejoiced. Dirt, massages, walks. And let's have a heart-to-heart talk. I have so much to learn from you. I laughed. You are older, wiser. She shook her head. Age doesn't matter. Wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to admit mistakes and change. You are this you can, and I'm just learning. After breakfast, she got ready to go home. On the threshold, turned around. Marina, I still haven't asked. What did you wish for when you blew out the candles in that day? I thought. So much water has flowed under the bridge. Peace in the family, I remembered, to live without hostility and humiliation. The wish came true, she smiled. Although not as we expected. Andrei and Lisa hugged me later. I love you, everyone. Thank you for not turning away from the harmful old woman. You are not an old woman, she was indignant. Lisa, you are my grandmother, the best. Valentina Petrovna pressed granddaughter to yourself. And you are my best granddaughter. With the best mother. She left. We stood on the threshold, watching her go. An ordinary family, not ideal, with their scars, pain, forgiven grievances, but real, strong, able to overcome any tests. Mom, Lisa tugged at my hand. And why was Grandma angry before? I sat down in front of my daughter. She wasn't angry, sunshine. She was unhappy. And unhappy people sometimes hurt. Others. Lisa thought about it, and now she's happy. I nodded. Now yes, we are all happy. In the evening my mother called. Marinka, how are you? We haven't heard from each other for a long time. I told her about changes, about reconciliation with Valentina Petrovna. Mom was surprised. Well, I thought you would be at odds forever. I thought so too, I admitted. But people change, Mom. If you give them a chance and clearly define the boundaries. Mom laughed. You've grown up, daughter. You've become wise. I'm proud of you. After the conversation, I went out onto the balcony. The city was getting ready for bed. Lights were coming on in the windows. Somewhere there, in one of the houses, Valentina Petrovna, too, may be looking out the window. Thinks about the past day, about her granddaughter, about her new relationship with her daughter-in-law. I smiled, remembering that day a year ago. 20 words that changed everything. Sometimes the truth works better than any weapon. The main thing is to have the courage to say it and the wisdom to forgive those who are ready to change. Andrei hugged me from behind. Oh, what do you think? I pressed myself against him about how strange everything turned out. I prepared for war, but got peace. He kissed me on the top of my head because you fought for peace, not for the sake of war. There is a difference. We stood, looking at the sleeping city. Tomorrow will be a new day. Perhaps Valentina Petrovna will again. She'll lose her temper and say something offensive out of habit. But now I know she's capable of hearing, understand, apologize. And I am capable of forgiving. After all, family is not those who never make mistakes, but those who are ready to admit mistakes and to become better. For the sake of loved ones, for the sake of love, for the sake of common happiness. As she closed her eyes, feeling the warmth of her husband, hearing her daughter's sleepy breathing from a nursery. My family, suffered through, built on respect and truth. Imperfect, but real. And I'm ready to fight for it calmly, wisely, with love, as I have learned over this long year. 20 words of truth. 5, to stop. 10 to make you think. 20 to change your life. Sometimes you don't have to scream or cry. It's enough to just tell the truth and have the strength to wait until she does her job. We are back into the house. Lisa was sleeping with her arms spread out. I straightened the blanket and kissed my daughter. She smiled in her sleep. Maybe she was dreaming of something good. Grandma, who teaches how to bake pies. Parents who no longer fight. A house full of love. I lay down next to my husband, feeling at peace. Tomorrow we'll go to my parents, haven't seen them for a long time. Then to the sanatorium with Valentina Petrovna. Life goes on. An ordinary happy family life, the one worth fighting for. As I fell asleep, I smiled. 20 words. Who would have thought that this is exactly what is needed for happiness? No more, no less. Exactly 20 words of truth, spoken at the right time to the right person, and their courage pronounce. The story of our family is not a fairy tale. There was pain, tears, resentment, but it real. And we wrote the ending ourselves, all together. Valentina Petrovna confessed her guilt. Andrei chose his wife. I willingness to forgive. Lisa with childish love for everyone. Maybe someone will say, it's impossible to change like that. You can't change people. But I know it's possible if a person himself he will want to, if he sees himself from the outside, if he understands, he loses more than acquires. Valentina Petrovna would have lost her son and granddaughter. For what? For the sake of pride, for the sake of power. She made a choice. Family is more important than ambition. And I respect her more for that, than if she had been the perfect mother-in-law from the start. The scars remained. Sometimes, in moments grievances surface when we are tired. But we have learned to talk about them. Not to save them, not to keep quiet, but immediately speak out. Valentina Petrovna, this phrase hurt me. Sorry, Marina, I didn't mean to. Habit and the conflict dies down before it can flare up. We have become a real family, not the one where everyone smiles and pretends that everything is fine, but the one where they know how to quarrel and to make peace, to be offended and to forgive, to make mistakes and to correct them, where everyone has the right to an opinion, but I'm ready to hear another. And it all started with 20 words, from the moment when I stopped being patient and started demanding respect, recognition, normal human relations. It was scary. Suddenly I will lose my family. But I have gained much more. A real family, the one where the mother-in-law calls her daughter-in-law daughter, and it's sincere. Where the husband protects his wife, and doesn't bring her down sacrificed to a mother's whim. Where a child grows up in an atmosphere of love, and not feuds between adults, where the mistakes of the past become lessons for the future. I fell asleep happy. Tomorrow will be a new day with new challenges, maybe conflicts, but I'm not afraid. I have a family, real, hard one. Mine, and I will take care of it wisely, with love, but firmly, as I learned that day when I said 20 words of truth. 2 weeks later, Valentina Petrovna and I were going to the sanatorium. Andrei saw us off. At the station, holding Lisa's hand. Behave, he jokingly threatened. Don't quarrel. Valentina Petrovna laughed. We are friends now. True, Marina? I nodded, although inside I was still on guard. Old wounds heal. Slowly. We sat down opposite each other in the compartment. The train started moving. The wheels began to clatter. Valentina Petrovna took out a thermos with tea and sandwiches. I made your favorite with red fish, she said. I was surprised, not remembered telling her about my preferences. Andrei told her. She explained, noticing my surprise, I asked him about you. I want to know you better. The first hours passed in awkward silence. We drank tea, looked out the window. Then Valentina Petrovna sighed. It's hard, isn't it? After everything that happened, I nodded. There was no point in pretending. I understand, she continued. 3 years I poisoned your life. You can't get your trust back in 2 weeks. I'm trying, honestly I answered, but sometimes I expect a catch, that you will start criticizing and humiliating again. She smiled sadly. I catch myself doing this too. I want to make a remark on habit, but I stop. It's like breaking the habit of smoking. It pulls, but you understand that it is harmful. We started talking. Carefully, gradually, as if walking on thin ice. She told about her youth, about meeting her husband. He was handsome, confident. I'm an 18-year-old fool from the provinces. I fell madly in love with her. Eyes clouded with memories. The first year was like a fairy tale, and then hell broke loose. I listened without interrupting. She never talked about this with Andrei, cherished the memory of her father. He controlled everything, what lipstick to buy, what hairstyle to do. I chose friends. This is suitable, this is not. I was suffocating, but I thought, this love. Care. Why didn't you leave? I asked quietly. She chuckled. Where to? Parents died, no education. He did not allow studying. And the times were different. Divorce, shame. Be patient. Woman, this is your lot. She was silent. When Andriusha was born, it became easier. My husband switched to his career, Les was picky. And I lived for my son. The sanatorium turned out to be cozy. Pine forest, lake, silence. We were placed in neighboring rooms. The first days were spent in procedures. Mud, massages, baths. In the evenings we walked in the park, talked. Every day the tension went away. On the fourth day something unexpected happened. During dinner, a woman of about 60 came to our table. Valentina Morozova. Mother-in-law looked up, and her face lengthened. Sveta. The woman nodded happily. Not I found out. How old are you? They hugged. Marina is my school friend. Svetlana. Valentina Petrovna introduced us. And this is my daughter-in-law. Svetlana sat down with us. Daughter-in-law. And I thought, you have a daughter, so young, beautiful. I blushed from the unexpected praise. They recalled the school years of mutual acquaintances. Then Svetlana asked, and what about your husband? He's still the same despot. Valentina Petrovna darkened, died 5 years ago. Svetlana was not surprised. Well, thank God. Forgive me for frankness, but he ruined your life. Sveta, Valentina Petrovna was indignant. Marina felt awkward, but her friend brushed it off. Oh well, everyone knew what he was like. Do you remember how he slapped you in front of everyone at the graduation ceremony? Because I was dancing with a classmate. Valentina Petrovna turned pale. I wanted to stand up for you then. Svetlana continued. But you stopped me yourself. You told me not to interfere. He is my fiancé, he has right. She shook her head. You were a fool, Valka. However, we are all in fools of youth. After dinner, Valentina Petrovna was silent. In the park she sat down on a bench and looked at the lake. It's embarrassing, she finally said. Everyone knew. They pitied me. And I endured, pretending that everything was fine. I sat down next to him, not knowing what to say. You know what's the scariest thing? She turned to me. I became the same with you. Humiliated, controlled, demanded submission. How is he? Tears streamed down her cheeks. I became what I hated. I took her hand. But you realized it and you are changing. This is important. She squeezed my hand. Thank you for not turning away. If I were you, I would run away wherever my eyes lead me. We sat in silence, looking at the sunset. Two women with similar stories learning to understand each other. In the evening Andrei called. How come you didn't fight? He joked. Everything is fine, I assured him. We are getting closer. Lisa snatched the phone. Mom. Dad burned scrambled eggs and socks scattered. When will you be back? I laughed. Soon, sunshine. Hi, Dad. The next day we went to the procedures together. In Gryazovaya Vanya, Valentina Petrovna suddenly lost her desire. If my friends had seen the Countess Morozova in the mud. I laughed too. She really did look funny. Countess, I asked again. She waved her hand. My husband liked to throw dust in people's eyes. The pedigree I came up with it myself, ordered a coat of arms. And I myself am from the simple ones. After the mud we lay in the lounge, drinking herbal tea. Marina, she began. Can I have a personal question? I was wary, but nodded. Do you want more children? The question caught me taken by surprise. I don't know, I answered honestly. After everything that happened, I'm afraid of a repeat. She shook her head. There will be no repetition. I am different now. And if you decide, I will help. I will really help, and not criticize. She was silent. You know, I dreamed of a big family, but after Andrei, my husband, forbade it. He said, it's enough for one poor person to multiply. This is terrible, he blurted out. Me. She nodded. Yes. That's why I clung to Andrei so much. He was my everything. World. She clung too tightly, sighed. If you decide to have a second one, name him Valentin or Valentina. She joked, but there was hope in her eyes. The days flew by. We went to treatments, walked, talked, got to know each other again, without masks, claims, struggle for power. It turned out that we have a lot in common. Love for reading, classical music, Gardening. I always dreamed of a garden, admitted Valentina Petrovna, looking at the blooming flower beds of the sanatorium. But her husband considered it a whim. For the servant said, I remembered our small balcony with a gerania. We don't have much space, but we can come up with something. Vertical gardening is trendy now. Her eyes lit up, didn't they? You don't mind. I shook my head. Why against? We will grow together. She blossomed tomatoes and cherry tomatoes, and greens, and flowers. I laughed, looking at her enthusiasm. In front of me was not a formidable mother-in-law, but an ordinary woman dreaming of simple things. Joys. A week before departure, an emergency occurred. Valentina Petrovna slipped on wet floor in the shower, fell. I heard a scream, ran in. She was lying, holding onto leg. It seems to be dislocated, she groaned. I helped her get to the bed, called doctor. The dislocation was confirmed. The leg was immobilized and rest was prescribed. Here and rested, she joked sadly. I settled into the chair next to her. Nothing, let's read books. I brought detective stories. She was surprised. How do you know that I do like detectives? I smiled. I saw it at your house. Agatha Christie Conan Doyle. In the following days I looked after her, brought her food, helped her get to the toilet, read aloud. She was embarrassed. Marina, it's awkward. Have you come to rest? And not to work as a nurse. But I brushed it off. You would me too was done. And it was true. In these days I saw, she would have done. When I caught a cold on the third day, caught a cold during an evening walk, she was fussing about me, like a child. Tea with raspberries, mustard plasters, gargles. Mommy, I moaned in a half-delirium. She stroked my head. Sleep, daughter. I'm nearby. By the end of the shift, the leg was almost healed. We were getting ready to go home, exchanging impressions. You know, said Valentina Petrovna, packing her things. These were the best 2 weeks in recent years. I nodded for me too. We became a family. She hugged me. Yes, a real family. Andrei and Lisa met us at the station. Mommies. The daughter screamed, rushing towards us. We caught her from both sides. Andrei looked at us with a smile. I see, everything went well. Valentina Petrovna winked at me, better than good. At home, Andrei prepared a festive dinner. I tried, he said proudly. The cutlets were slightly burnt, the potatoes undercooked, but we ate it and praised it. It was delicious, Dad, Lisa said. The girl would I was proud, Valentina Petrovna added, and I saw Andrei's face twitch. After dinner, when Lisa went to bed sleep, the 3 of us were sitting over tea. Mom, Andrei began. Marina told me a little about my father. Valentina Petrovna tensed up. Why did you never, she said. She looked down, not wanting to ruin your memories. You loved your father, but I had a right to know the truth, he said softly. She nodded. Yes, I did. I'm sorry I hid it. I thought it would be better this way. Andrei took at hand. Mom, you're a hero. What endured all this, raised me. She cried. I don't hero. I am a coward who endured and kept silent. You were protecting your son, I intervened. As best you could. Times were different. There were fewer opportunities. Less. Valentina Petrovna looked at me gratefully. Andrei hugged us. Both of you. I love you and I'm proud that you found a common language. Life has entered a new channel. Valentina Petrovna came to visit, but no longer barged in. She called, asked permission, brought gifts, not demonstratively expensive, but thoughtful. The book I wanted, Rare Seeds for Our Balcony Garden, the toy Lisa had dreamed of. We actually broke garden on the balcony. On weekends, the 3 of us, me, my mother-in-law and Lisa, would fiddle around. Andrei chuckled, my gardeners. But sometimes he joined in, clumsily poking the shovel into the ground. Be careful. Lisa shouted. You'll damage the roots. In the fall, our balcony turned into a greenhouse. Cherry tomatoes hung in bunches. Basil and parsley were fragrant. Petunias bloomed in all the colors of the rainbow. Neighbors looked at each other. Some asked for advice. Valentina Petrovna proudly shared experience. In October, I realized I was pregnant. The test showed 2 stripes, and I sat down right on the bathroom floor. Joy mixed with fear of how everything would turn out. Will I cope? Will it happen again? Nightmare of the first pregnancy? Andrew told in the evening when Lisa fell asleep. He froze with the cup halfway to his mouth. Really? He exhaled. I nodded. He put it down. Cup picked me up in his arms, spun me around. There will be 4 of us. Lisa will be the eldest. Sister. Then he remembered. You can't worry. Sit down. Put your legs up. Valentina Petrovna was told the next day. She arrived. With apple pie, my favorite. Over tea I plucked up my courage. We have news. She became wary. Old fears die slowly. Good news, she quickly said. I added, you'll be a grandmother for the 2nd time. The pie fell out of her hands. Luckily, on the tablecloth and not on the floor. True, she whispered. The 2nd grandson or granddaughter. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Thank you. She grabbed my hand. Thank you, daughter. This time everything was different. No criticism, just care. But the right care is not suffocating. How are you feeling? Need help? I can take Lisa so you can rest. And most importantly, she always asked, and not imposed. When toxicosis began, she came to cook. Quietly, without unnecessary words. Left food in containers, took Lisa to the park. They return happy, granddaughter covered in ice cream, grandmother with a bouquet of leaves for a herbarium. Grandma said that I will have little brother, Lisa said one day. I glanced sideways at Valentina Petrovna. She embarrassed. I said, brother or sister? She chose the brother herself. Lisa nodded. Brother is better. You can play football with him. The ultrasound showed that it really is boy. Andrew was in 7th heaven. Son. I'm going to have a son. Valentina Petrovna burst into tears. Valentin. Will you call me Valentin? Andrew and I exchanged glances. If you don't mind, he said. She pressed her hands to her chest. I'll be happy. The pregnancy proceeded calmly, without stress, quarrels, or tension. Valentina Petrovna became a real support. When in the 7th month the doctor prescribed bed rest, she practically moved in with us, cooked, I cleaned up and did some work with Lisa. Isn't it hard for you? I asked, lying on the couch. She waved it off. What are you saying? I'm so glad to be of service. And it was true. She blossomed, feeling needed. Not the main one, not the commander, but the assistant, member of the team. Andrew also changed, became more attentive, more caring, came straight from work to me and my mom. How are my girls? He stroked my belly. And my boy, how Lisa was jealous. I'm yours too. He picked her up. You're my first princess. The birth began 2 weeks earlier. Valentina Petrovna was at home. I was putting away the children's things. Suddenly there was a sharp pain and off it went. She calmly took pull myself together. I call Andrew, call a taxi. I'll take Lisa to the neighbor. Clear, quick action. No panic. In the maternity hospital she held my hand until we were waiting for Andrew. Breathe. My daughter, everything will be fine. Her calmness was transmitted to me. Andrew flew in, sweating. I'm here. How are you? Valentina Petrovna handed me over to his hands. I'm in the hallway. Call me if anything happens. Valentin was born in the morning. Tiny, wrinkled, beautiful. When they brought him in for his first feeding, the rain was crying outside the window. But the room was warm and cozy. My son smacked his lips. Andrew sat next to him with a stupid smile. Valentina Petrovna, they let her in an hour later. She entered on tiptoe, afraid to disturb. She saw her grandson and froze. May I? She whispered. I nodded. She took it carefully, like a crystal vase. Valentin, exhaled. My Valentine. What about you? I smiled. Our common. She raised her eyes to me, full of tears. Thank you for your son, for your grandchildren, for forgiving. Andrew hugged us all, awkwardly, trying not to disturb baby. Family photo, I thought. Real Lisa met us at home with a poster. Welcome, brother. It's written crookedly, but from the heart. Valentina Petrovna baked a cake. This time I cut it and gave her the first piece. She laughed through her tears. We learn from our mistakes. I nodded. We learn from our mistakes to live. The first weeks were hell. Valentin turned out to be restless, cried at night. Lisa was jealous, demanding attention. I was torn, not getting enough sleep. And again Valentina Petrovna came to the rescue. But now I didn't perceive it like an intrusion. Go to bed, she would say, taking her grandson. I'll rock or walk Lisa, and you take a rest. No reproaches that I can't cope. Only help and support. Andrei was surprised. Mom, you've changed. She shook her head. No, I became myself. By the new year, life settled down. Valentin grew up and started smiling. Lisa accepted the role of the older sister. It is important, explained. This is my little brother. I'm protecting him. We started getting enough sleep again. Smiling. Live. On New Year's Eve, everyone gathered together. My parents came from another cities. Finally met Valentina Petrovna. I was worried, like there will be a meeting. But everything was fine. Two grandmothers found a common language through grandchildren. What wonderful children, my mother admired. It's genes, she answered proudly. Valentina Petrovna. On both sides they prepared the festive table together, exchanged recipes. Two grandfathers competed to see who could assemble a children's construction set better. At the table Andrei raised a toast to our family. Big, friendly, real. Everyone clinked glasses, even Lisa with her juice. Valentina Petrovna stood up. I want one too. Say. Everyone went quiet. 2 years ago I almost destroyed this family. With my pride, stupidity, fears. She looked at me. Marina saved us everyone with your strength, wisdom, and ability to forgive. Thank you, my daughter. I stood up, hugged her. We stood there, two women who had gone through a path from hostility to love. Thank you, I whispered, for changing. Not everyone can do that. She hugged me tighter. You taught me the most important thing. Love is not power. It is the freedom to be yourself. Then there were dances, games, laughter. The children fell asleep right under the tree. The adults sat quietly, sipping tea. A good year it was, my dad said. Difficult, but good. Valentina Petrovna nodded. The best in my life. I found a family. You always had a family, Andrei countered. She shook her head. No, I had power over the family, and these are different things. Now I understand the difference. She took my hand and was grateful for the lesson. Painful, but necessary. The clock struck midnight somewhere in the distance. New year, new life. I looked at sleeping children, at her husband, at the parents of all four, at her large, complex, a real family, one worth fighting for. What are you thinking about? She asked. Valentina Petrovna. About how everything has changed, I answered. 2 years ago I said 20 words out of desperation and they brought us here. She squeezed my hand. The best 20 words of my life. They gave me my son back, gave me a daughter, and grandchildren. We sat in silence, each thinking about her own, about the path we had taken, the challenges we had overcome. Pain, found happiness, that family is work, daily, painstaking, sometimes painful, but the result is worth all the effort. Valentin started crying. I stood up, but Valentina Petrovna stopped me. I'll go. Rest. I came back with my grandson in my arms. The hero was hungry. I took my son, started feeding. Everyone looked with tenderness. A picture of motherhood. You know, my mother said. I was worried about Marina. When she was talking about conflicts, looked at Valentina Petrovna. But you're great. Not everyone is able to admit mistakes and change. My mother-in-law was embarrassed. I had a good teacher. She nodded at me. The night flowed slowly. The children slept. The adults quietly talked. About plans, dreams, hopes. Valentina Petrovna wanted to register Lisa to dance. My dad suggested that we all go to the sea in the summer. Andrei dreamed of expanding the business. And I just sat there, fed my son, and I thought how good, how right everything turned out. Yes, through the pain. Yes, through conflicts. But we all coped together and became not just relatives on paper, but a real family. The end.